What's up, J350JP and Okay, so I'm gonna continue about how to raise children by more than one woman. So whatever you do, what I was gonna say, whatever you do not try to enforce your thoughts on the mothers. Don't ever do that. There is no reason. If you have something that you really want to say, just write it in a letter or send it by email or that, and that's it. Okay, now the reason I say this is because you need to keep as much stress coming from you off of your child's mothers. You need to do that. It's very, very important, okay? And the reason you do that is because for the child's sake and for your sake later on. Now here's one that's kind of messed up, but this can happen though. Let's say if you find another woman and she's a good woman and she knows that you used to be married and you got kids and she accepts all that stuff, and no one's ever expecting anything, but you guys get married and you have your own kids, and every time you go visit your first kids, let's say you and your wife always fighting, arguing, and she's stressed, and then one day she just happens to, something happens to her, and she can't take care of the children no more due to the stress that you're giving her. And the court comes and says, hey, you gotta take care of your kids. So they give it to you. Then you have a dilemma. And this dilemma is if your new wife does not want to deal with you because you have your children. Now, I'm not saying she hates her children or anything like that, but she's not obligated to love them. And she has no problem with you going to visit them, you bring them to the house or anything, but talking about living together, and now she got to divide her income up to take care of, your kids, which is supposed to be your responsibility, and then she got to share her time with your kids, and not only with her kids, and then with you. And so that causes a lot of problems, and that's probably the biggest thing that can happen that you don't want to happen. So do not cause any stress. Then, of course, there's other things too. She might go home and take it out on the child, and your child will grow up very stressful and not as peaceful as that child can be. So whatever you do not enforce. Now, what I did with my first wife was, we used to get in these arguments and stuff, but I wouldn't enforce anything. The only thing I enforced on was when my son was 17, and something happened. She took him out of one school, put him into another school, and I got angry, and I told her to take him out of that school and put him back in a regular school, and she did it, and that was probably one of the few times I got upset. But the reason I did that was because of the school he went to. There was a real potential of him getting hurt because of the problems there at that school, but I'm not sure if he would have got into it or not, since he looked kind of like more white. He did black, but he just act more white. But you never know how people act. So, but anyway, don't enforce anything on it, because it's not even worth it. You want her to be as healthy and as happy as she can possibly be. If she gets married, then you want her to be happy, and stress-free and anything like that. And you want to always be able to see your child whenever you can. So please do that. And it doesn't matter what kind of wife you have, even if she hates your guts. There's no reason to fight, okay? Because remember, because most people usually get divorced between the child is like 5 and 10. So you only have a few years. You got to deal with it. Just deal with it. You know what I'm saying? You just deal with it, because once your child gets at a certain age or things happen, you don't really have to contact the mother anymore. But it'll just be you and your child, and hopefully you'll take the time, especially if you didn't get married, you take the time to better yourself, get some type of education, and even if you have to go to a library and study about things, and develop a better you. So, and it doesn't matter what reason it was that you divorced, or while you have these different kids or whatever, you can always still better yourself. So please do that. I want to talk about different wives, how to handle different wives and things like that. So I could use my first wife because it was like all three of them was like kind of mixed in one. But our conversations and our arguments were always on the phone. When we were face to face, we hardly ever argue, So I'll just deal with that. Okay, first off is the way me and my mother's kids are. Is everything is cool. I mean, we might have our little disagreements and stuff, but I can call a house, speak to her. I can speak to her new maid. Talk to my kids, my grandkids. When I go to LA, I can go there and stay at the house. Of course, I ask, and both of them say yes, And last time I went, we didn't have any problem. Me and her mate, we had a conversation, but we always had these conversations, which, I haven't been in the States, so I don't know what's going on, but I'm guilty because of association, because I am a black man. Then I got to hear all this stuff, and then I had to remind her, hey, you know what? I live in an environment where this stuff doesn't exist for black men, So, and we just had those conversations. But if you have a relationship where you and your wife is real cool and everything is fine, then that's the best relationship. But then sometimes it could be. We could have its downfalls too, and the downfalls is that maybe your kid's mother still, because you're so cool and everything, that she may still treat you as though you're married, so then if you say something, just out of friendship, she might take it like, oh, well, you're trying to be a husband, or, or that feeling might come back that you already had, that you had when you were previously married and stuff like that, or previously married when you were married and stuff. So those things are those probably the only downfall you have. Or they might still everything's the same, nothing changes, and nothing changed, so the conversation might kind of be strange, and then you might talk about the same old stuff, the parents and the family problems and the friends, and sitting around just talking about people and and stuff like that, and you're like, oh my God, I don't, so that's probably the only downfall. I think there's another one. I can't think of what it is, but it's not that you guys will get married again, because that's like that won't ever. Sorry, that won't ever happen or anything like that. So I won't worry about that. But yeah, I think the only thing is maybe when in front of the child, like what my wife did. I don't know why the first mom did. We were in LA and we were by the post office in Culver City on, I think it's Venice Boulevard, and there's these new restaurants. There are like the building is all black and stuff, and there's all kind of people in there cutting all kinds of hair and stuff. So I got my son got his hair finished. We were standing out in front, and she said something like, oh, and also she gave me permission to talk about this stuff on YouTube. But anyway, she said something like, I said something, and she said, oh, you always had a problem with your color. And I'm thinking to myself, huh? Because when we were together the first 5 years, there was never any color conflicts. There was nothing. We were in the Philippines. Literally, she was doing what she wanted to do, and I was out there just trying to, stay out of trouble, because I wasn't taking the crap that the other brothers were taking in the military. And so somebody, like a white person come and they step to me wrong, then they getting dealt with, and I wasn't a submissive type, so, I was, I had to really, I could continue doing what I did because of the words I used wasn't not derogatory or anything, but, well, it wasn't a derogatory word, it was a legal words that I could legally say, that I could say in court and stuff, but still, it wasn't in a disrespectful way. So, but, I just had to be careful. So when she was out there doing what she was doing, I didn't care, I just forget it, because it wasn't important to me. Plus, she was having fun, and who am I to get jealous because she's having fun? you know. So we didn't have any problems with color or anything like that. Now, if anything did happen, it wasn't between me. It was maybe she dealing with her white friends and her black friends and her Filipino friends or whatever, you know, and they was probably talking that stuff, but I didn't grow up like that, so stuff like that didn't happen. And then, so she said, you had a problem with your color, and I'm like, huh? What are you talking about? She said, you always, I'm like, when have you ever heard me talk about my color? We were not, you know, we didn't even talk about color. Color was not an issue, you know, and that stuff didn't even start popping in until like right before we got divorced, when she moved from Palmdale to Los Angeles to start working with these sisters and stuff, you know. And I was like, wow, you know, and I'm like, you know me, I love my color. I wish I was black as this paint. You know, I said, so all this stuff that you're talking about, you have to remember, I left LA and I haven't been back, you know, except to visit, and all this stuff that you're talking about is foreign to me. I haven't been exposed to this, so I don't know what you're talking about, you know. And I think she kind of caught herself, because basically in those type of relationship, people tend to think that you always been around it, or I mean, it's like if I go back to the States and I might bump into somebody and why didn't you say excuse me, and I've been here so long, I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I live in Japan and people bump into each other and it doesn't mean anything, you know, people don't get upset, you know, so it could be something like that. Then there's this other type of woman that you might marry, and this is really cool, is you marry a woman who doesn't care about you meeting your kids, doesn't care whenever you meet the kids, and matter of fact, encourage you to be with your kids and take time to be with them, but she does not want anything to do with you, nothing at all. You can call a house, or maybe, you know, you can call a house, she answer, and you only call for the kids. If you have any conversation with her that has nothing to do with the children, nothing relating to the children, then she's going to say, I'm sorry, but I don't have time to talk to you about this, sorry, and then she'll just hang up, you know, and that's it. And that woman is probably, you know, a very independent woman. If she's not, maybe she became independent and understood how precious time was and time is, you know, so she's getting on the grind and maybe went back to school or continuing her business and just developing and doing better, you know. And maybe you should be doing better too, but when you see her, you can see that she's dressing nice and she's smiling more, and maybe she might, I don't know if she's dating, she might have some guy friends that might, you know, go out with and things like that, but she always have, maybe her kids are always with the parents, you know, or someone that she trusts, probably with her parents and stuff, and she goes out, you know, and I don't know what she's doing, whatever, but you see her and you see that she actually changed, and you might fall in love with that person, but she will straight up tell you, hey, you know, I don't want anything to do with you anymore. We had our chance, it didn't work out, you know. I'm sorry, but, you know, I have a new life, I have new things I want to do, and you're not part of my life, you're part of the children's life. You come see them whenever you want, I don't care, but please leave me alone, you know. And then you might be trying to get her back, saying, you know, well, you know, I never knew you was like this, and da-da-da-da-da. And she'll just be firm and say, hey, you know, just leave me alone, and that's it. You know, and if you don't leave her alone, then, you know, maybe she might go to court, or maybe she just might, if she's smart, you know, she have one of these type of jobs that she can do anywhere, and she just probably take off, and, you know, and if you want to see the kids, you know, if you got money, you come see them. If you don't, then she'll just ship them to see you, you know, because once people develop things and have money, you know, and those are the type of people that do want their children to have a full life, you know. So of course she's going to want you in her life. I mean, not in her life, but in your children's life. But she doesn't want to have anything with you. And that's really difficult, because then you get to really see the diamond and the precious, whatever it is that you see, that you thought was there, that was always there, but you just never took the time or